is involved with our convention. It isn't niche specific outside of you being a geek of some kind, which technically anyone could be a geek. So look into what you are trying to go for, what you're passionate about, what you would like to see more of or more growth in that type of area. Then try to connect with some people that are interested in some of the same ideas as you. See things through like social media, like a Facebook group or through Instagram, TikTok. There are thankfully so many platforms that we can go on, different discords and stuff like that, to communicate with people with similar interests as us to see how you can get something like that started. After you do that, I would say there are many, many people that have really great ideas that are really, really gung ho. However, having great ideas but not having the dedication, that can be really, really tricky. And that can make it really, really hard when accomplishing anything, whether it's a con, whether it's some type of group, whether it's a festival, whether it's a business, anything like that. Everyone involved should try their best to be motivated, to be dedicated, and to be determined. Now, full disclaimer, it's okay if you lose motivation. And it's also okay if there are times where you might feel like you want to give up, because I think that happens to everyone. That happens to me. That has happened to me, right? But the most important part is you have people around you to lift you up with the dreams and goals that you have, as well as you remind yourself, why are you putting this business, festival, con, group, meetup, whatever the case may be, is for? What was the purpose of it? So step one, figure out if you have a niche or not. Step two is finding people in those similar areas of interest. Step three is having that dedication and motivation, not just from yourself, but the people that you're working with, right? Because not everybody has the best of interests. Some people might see the ideas that you have and may not think of it in the same ways that you do, or may not have as much faith in it as you do. But the most important part is that you have faith in you, and that you surround yourself around people that have faith in you and the goals and dreams that you're trying to accomplish through the different platforms that you're kind of, I guess, moving through. So you have those three steps, my little fingers here. The fourth step is finding a location, if whatever you're trying to do is a location, because there are becoming more virtual cons, right? So you may not necessarily have a location, or it might be too expensive to get a location because it's not easy getting venues cost money. People coming in person costs money. Everything costs money. Right? So you could always start off something small, like virtually, right? So you can build like something through like a Discord. You can build it through YouTube because YouTube is free, right? Twitch, TikTok, whatever the case may be, whatever free virtual platforms you have available to you, utilize it, right? Utilize maybe some of the hashtags that are already there, or some of the group goals that people have. Talk and try to collaborate with different people that may already have something running that would support the convention, festival, business that you have, that you're trying to run. And also ask people for advice, right? If anyone were to be at the convention and see me, or even people in the comment sections now, I encourage you to ask me questions. If you have any questions on how to do certain things, or you want to start stuff but you don't know how to, ask them questions. Ask people who are already in, I guess, the thick of it, to see what their thoughts are, get their opinions, right? Especially if you feel like there are people that you could potentially trust, that won't steal your idea, or different things like that. Ask them, right? Because I know I personally have no problem with answering any of your questions. I want everyone to flourish and grow and become marvelous in any way, shape they can. So if I can be part of that process, I say, why not? So those would be kind of like the tips 4 and 5, is just finding your venue, whether it's virtual or in person. And if you are trying to look for like free places to meet up, like the parks department works really, really great with people. If you have a gathering of more than 25 people, you just have to pay like a permit, or a licensing permit, to utilize the space and like the date and everything like that. That's usually pretty low budget. If you want to just have something small, like a small meetup, you can do stuff virtually. You can ask your local community centers, or even your local libraries, because sometimes they have small events there too. Or even ask like if you can utilize like the outside of people's storefronts, the different mom and pop shops, to like help you advertise what you're doing, or even host your meetings or events there for what you're trying to accomplish for, like I said, your festival, convention, business group, whatever the case may be. So those would probably be the next steps in my potentially long-winded panel that you guys are thankfully joining. So I appreciate everybody who is online here with me today after a very long and exhausting but wonderful yesterday. I am a little tired, so sorry from a little low energy, everybody. So those would be probably like my top 5 tips of what you can do to run a convention. Again, finding your niche if there is one, finding people that have the same interests as you, keeping that motivation and finding people that help you keep that motivation are going to support you through that process. Finding a venue or creating a venue virtually. And then fifth, asking people for advice, asking people, okay, how do I get funding, right? How do I get people to perform? How do I get people to vend? How do I get certain types of activities or different things like that involved with my, like I said, con festival, whatever case may be that you're trying to create? Like, ask us these questions. When I say us, I'm including myself and whoever else runs anything, right? Like, how do I go about it? What are some good tips for that? What are some things that like I can, you know, do, right? And thank you for saying that, guys. Thank you so much. I'm looking at the comments right now. Um, and that's an actually part of the sixth tip, right? When you first put your first show, event, or anything like that together, expect hiccups. Expect hiccups, expect everything not to go great, expect there to be issues, but also expect to not don't expect so much of yourself though. Don't get so hard on yourself, especially if it's your first time, your second time, your third time, your fourth time, whatever the case may be. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just look at, okay, these are the issues that have happened. This is what I can fix. This is what I can't fix, right? And just try your best to be transparent as much as you can with your audience that you're engaging with or you're providing this, like, I think of it as like a service, right? When you provide like an event or a con or whatever, it is a service that people are engaging with or indulging themselves with, right? Be transparent. If something's going like really bad and people have to like wait a long time, let them know, hey, there's some technical issues, there's whatever issues, whatever is you feel comfortable with, right? Because not everybody feels comfortable with certain things, but just be transparent and let them know that there's some things going on. We're trying to get it under control and appreciate all the people that are coming through to support your idea that has come into some way, shape, or form to fruition, whether, like I said, virtually or in person. And then I would say the seventh thing when it comes down to running any type of show or event is advertisement. Advertisement, advertisement, advertisement. I say this to you guys and I say this to myself too, because that's something that I think is always can be worked on, always can be improved, always can be uh, emphasize and put in a place of importance, because if no one knows that your event is happening, no matter how much work you put into it, you may not have the turnout that you would like. You may not have the engagement that you would like. You may not have the people that you're trying to reach, right? Or people that maybe you didn't necessarily know you wanted to reach but were reached anyway, that came because they saw your advertisement. So you can do like different Facebook or social media boosts. You can ask other people to post your event or your show. You can put up flyers, like I said, in local businesses. You don't have to get necessarily something in the newspaper. You can, as an option. You don't necessarily have to do like the big billboards and like malls or whatever. That's can be really, really expensive. You can just start off small or get stuff printed like small cards and hand them out in like a public area, or get a permit to like hand them out in certain locations or different meetups of similar ideas or whatnot. That would probably be like this, I guess, top 7 tips that I would give you guys, and I can actually put it down here as a running list. One second. Type this all out for you guys. So 1, find your niche. I always feel like I say niche, because maybe it's niche, niche. I always feel like I say niche wrong, or niche wrong, or whichever way it's supposed to be said. I don't remember. But yeah, like I said, 1, find your niche, right? Find out what's important to you. 2, find the people is like the shortest way. I would put the second one is finding the people, right? Find the people that are interested, find out the people who would engage with this content with you that are similar to you. Like there was like, I think a Facebook ad that came out like a year ago that was like they talking about like Facebook rooms or groups or whatever, and it was like find your group, and it was literally like people who play like the harmonica while like rocking in a rocking chair or something like that. It was something particularly interesting or to be seemingly weird or odd. I mean, I think weird and odd are cool. So, but for someone else, that may seem weird or odd. But it was, I'm pretty sure it was like harmonica, like rocking chair group of some kind. Um, and it was like, find your group. And it's like, okay, yeah, there are that you can find your group. You can find some people that are in maybe the specific area that you're looking to or the specific area you want to highlight and see more space or more emphasis or more like representation for. So there's that. So you would find your people. And then I would put down the third one is keeping your determination. I feel like I spelled this word wrong, but it's okay. Someone will potentially correct me in the comment section. And that's okie dokie. Yeah. So keeping your determination and keeping people around you who are potentially just as determined as you, or at least they will encourage you to keep your determination and keep your passion and keep your drive to accomplish again, like the goals that you want to accomplish. And then number 4 would be to, there's some comments. Oh, you have some questions. Awesome. So please put all your questions inside of the chat. As soon as I'm done just showing these bullets for kind of things to look into when trying to run a show or a festival or starting those types of things, I will answer all those questions that you guys are putting in the chat. So please, please, please continue to write them out. I do see them as they pop up, and I will answer them one by one as I go. So yeah, so we just finished the stuff, but I'll chain of thought for a second. So we just finished talking about like, keeping your determination. The first one would be finding your venue. Like I said, could be in person, it could be at a park, it could be at someone's house, it could be in your local community center, it could be wherever you want. I wrote Yoru. That's how you know I am both tired as well as a huge like anime person, because why did I put Yoru? But finding your venue. Sorry about that, everybody. So finding your venue, like I said, in person, virtual. You do it virtually through Discord, YouTube. Google has free websites. If you want to start doing stuff through your website, you can use them as part of like your domain and hosting packages and stuff like that. Fifth, like I said, would be ask for advice. Number 5 is ask for advice. Yeah, so ask for advice. Ask for advice from people that know what they're talking about, or you think know what they're talking about, even if it's not about running the specific thing that you're doing, but a component of it. So there might be somebody who's really good at being a stage manager, right? A stage manager would know how to make sure that the performers and all those people are running safely. Maybe what your amplification looks like if you're looking at trying to put together a large scale event, what types of performers that you might be able to connect with, right? To engage with different things like that. And through asking for advice, the next one comes up, which is networking. And I know I talked about finding your people, and that's part of networking. But when I say networking, I mean networking to find the people that will make your event your event. So the attendees, the artists, the performers, the people to do activities. So like face painting, we had giant hamster ball. If you have like a type of competition, a scavenger hunt, whatever the case may be, networking with those types of people. And that actually leads us into the 7th and last thing before I get to the comment section, which is funding. So number 7 would be, wrong one. This is a ticker. This is the wrong one. This didn't come up right. So sorry, everybody. There we go. So next one would be funding. So how can you fund what you're doing? Is what you want to do potentially something that can be put together by just regular sponsorship from like local mom and pop shops, so like $250, $500, different things like that? Can it be something that you can do a fundraiser for, a GoFundMe, different things like that? Can it be something that you can get a grant for, right? Because they do give grants out to individuals. You don't necessarily have to be a nonprofit 501(c)(3), to which the convention is underneath one, technically. So we are, in a way, we are underneath the umbrella company for a nonprofit 501(c)(3). That's how we are able to thankfully get some of our funding. You know, grants can be given to individuals, right? Different things can be given to individuals, especially a lot of like art grants and different things like that. So find out how you can do funding, or maybe put together smaller events that don't cost a lot. Maybe charge people like $5 or whatever. Have like a small expo to try to and make have like a small fundraiser, different things like that to kind of help fund your overall project. So I am now going to switch over because I did a lot of talking and I want to see people's questions. So the first question is from Julie. I guess one big question is, how can you delegate tasks equally to different staff members involved so that way everything runs smoothly and no one gets overwhelmed with too much? That is actually a really, really lovely question. So, um, my experience is that communication is key. You have to actually communicate, not just from your end, but also on the other end. And that kind of ties into finding your people, meaning if the people that are surrounding you are just as dedicated and determined as you are, or at least close to it, or believe in what it is that you're trying to put together, they're willing to work with you. They're willing to listen to you. Obviously, don't be a tyrant. This is, you don't need to be a totalitarian. Of course, certain things might have to put your foot down on because this is something that you're creating. However, it would be best that you guys are communicating, having week meetings, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, putting that stuff into your schedules, having an agenda, right? Having meetings before the event, having tasks given before the event as opposed to on the day of the event. What's your expectations of everybody who's coming through? What is everybody's expectations of them trying to enter being a potential staff member or even volunteer for your event or your con or different things like that? So that would probably be the biggest thing. And also finding out what areas that you need support in. So I can give you guys an example. So, and you might have seen it potentially on our Instagram post. We shouted out all of the staff members, myself, and the rest of the team. But for each area that was shouted, for each person that was shouted out, there was a section that they were in charge of, either for the day of the event or prior to the event. So obviously, me, I have myself. I'm the con chair, founder, whatever. My role is everything in a way. I oversee everything. So you'll see me in every section, pulling up tables and chairs, being on stage, pulling cords across the ground. Like, I am not given a specific title of what I would do for an event because I do everything, but that's just me personally. That doesn't necessarily have to be you. For the rest of my team, like the co-con chair, Cheyenne, she was in charge of the stuff for the panels. But all of the people I'm about to name and what areas they were in, these conversations were had prior to the event, right? We said, okay, these are the areas that we need to make sure a staff member is available for. So, one, ask them, okay, what are some areas that you're interested in that you think you can handle? But also to try your best to know your staff as well and what their strong points are, what maybe things that they might need to improve on, so you to kind of figure out, okay, this seems like a good fit, or this seems like, okay, this may be not a good fit, but let's try to partner up with somebody else to kind of help you improve this skill set if that's an area that you want to engage in and different things like that. But in continuation, because I feel like I might be giving you a slightly long answer to your question that might be shortened, is that know your staff, know their strengths, know the things that they have to work on top of know the areas that you need a staff member in. Know an area where you need someone of decision-making capabilities to be in that area. So, for instance, Geek out of Staten Island, we had a panel meadow, we had the vendor area, we had registration, and we had the stage, right? Those 4 areas, along with just the meadow in general, the entire South Meadow, all needed a staff member there, right? They all needed someone to be able to make decisions. They all needed somebody to make sure that those areas were set up. They all need to have someone there to make sure that it continued smoothly, at least as much as it can, because every event is going to have hiccups. No event is going to go completely smoothly without any issues coming about. At least that's the experience that I've had from running the con, but also running and putting together a bunch of different community events within my own community. So that would probably be the answer. If you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much, give people tasks, even if they might not do it well, even if you feel like they you might quote unquote do it better than them. My quotation marks couldn't see it, sorry. Quotation mark, do it better than them. Um, give them the opportunity to prove you wrong. Give them the opportunity to prove you wrong. And if they prove you right, and you have to still do it anyway, you have to keep it like, pick up the slack or pieces, whatever the case may be. It's a learning uh it's a learning moment. It's a time for you to take time to learn and figure out kind of, all right, this didn't work. Now I know, don't have this person in charge of this, or don't have this person work together with that person, or whatever the case may be. But also, you can use that as a teaching moment for that person as well. Because I think everybody has, uh, what's it called? I think it's important to give everyone opportunity to grow. So if someone is not quote unquote perfect at something, or someone may not have a strong suit in some area, them trying it out and maybe quote unquote failing, I said quote unquote a lot, sorry, failing isn't necessarily a bad thing, or messing up isn't necessarily a bad thing. What your job is the person that runs the show, at least my perspective is that making sure, like, okay, you didn't do that great this time. That's okay. Let's see what we can do for you to improve or strengthen this area. So that way, hopefully the next time you are given this task or given this role to manage this area, that there isn't potentially another mistake, that there isn't any issues. This person may not feel stressed or overwhelmed and different things like that. And the last thing, again, very long answer to your question, is that take breaks. You can ask anyone in my staff that I don't take breaks. Things I'm saying to you is what I'm saying to myself. I don't take breaks. I usually run myself into the ground. I usually don't have a chance to sit, usually didn't eat, usually didn't sleep well, because I get excited like the day before. Usually don't drink anything, whatever case may be. Don't do what I do. Please take breaks. Please have it where you guys can like coordinate a schedule where someone swaps out with somebody so everyone can take a break. So that way you and the rest of your staff isn't overwhelmed. Um, and just have a moment to sit down, even if there's like a lot of things going on, just like take 5 minutes to just breathe. Take 5 minutes to just be like, okay, there's a lot going on. I'm just gonna right? And just calm yourself down as much as you can, because it can be very anxiety inducing and can be extremely overwhelming. Like I said, my first year running the con, I didn't have my staff. It was me, the nonprofit that we're under, the person in charge of that, the executive director there, and a couple of their staff members, so maybe about 3 or 4 people, putting an entire convention together for our first year, right? And at that time, I was, recovering from having a dislocated shoulder. So, I was still in pain and slightly drugged up, after having, my shoulder dislocated only a few months prior to having the convention run. So, I didn't take a break. I didn't relax. I didn't do any of those things, right? Having your staff, whether or not they do a great job or not, and having times for you guys to coordinate and have a schedule where we all take breaks. Because I feel like if we all are doing well, like if one of us is doing well, then we could potentially all do well, right? Because then we can coordinate, we can communicate with each other, we can do all those different types of things. So, oh, thank I'm gonna put this up. I thank you. You love the long, detailed answers. Thank you so much. I could be potentially long-winded, of a type of person. So I'm glad that you like my long-winded answer. But they one another thing I guess to add on, back to your question, I'm gonna put it up in case people who are coming in now may not see it, is that like have a team meeting. Have a team meeting before, have your meetings way, way before the event, like I said, plan out everything like that, but have a meeting the day of. Say, "Hey," I told my team, "Hey, everybody be here by 10. If anything, if like, obviously I'm gonna be there at 8:30 in the morning, but I'm like, be there no later than 10 so we can have a meeting, so we can discuss things in case things change, in case people are late, whatever the case may be. So we can like rerun down that everyone understands their roles, their responsibilities, where they're supposed to go. Let's give each other our walkies, our badges, right? Let's re go over how we're going to open up the day, right? What type of energy do you want to start off with? Have a check in with your team, right? Because you may be having a meeting for, let's say, last 3 6 months. They're doing great, they're doing wonderful, there's no issues with anybody on your team, but the day of the event something can happen, right? Because people have lives outside of the events that we create, right? Things happen, things go awry, there are issues, whatever case may be, right? Have it where you check in with them. That also I think helps out with removing the stress and removing it being overwhelming for you as the person that has created the con or quote unquote is in charge of the con or the festival business, right? Just insert that every time I say that. It's for all of the above. Um, that you check in with them and ask them, okay, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? Even if they're not able to tell you, give a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being great, amazing. One being I should probably go home and take a nap. Check in with them because you don't want to have it where your staff is pushing themselves also to do stuff for your event. Because at the end of the day, whether they are the best staff person you have, if they're not in the right mindset, if they are not able to give their usual energy and they're pushing themselves just to be a part of the event, I can only talk for myself. I would rather that person go home. Nothing against them, not saying that they're gonna do a terrible job, but I would not wanna put that type of stress on somebody who is gonna be a part of making an event happen because it takes a lot of energy. You're there all day. Like, our convention runs from 11 AM to 8 PM, right? Most of our staff this year was there at 8:30 this morning or yesterday morning, right? And most of the staff did not leave until roughly 9:30 in the evening, right? So, that is a lot for a person to have to just be awake for. Forget about if they just sat there all day, let's say, and did nothing else. That's still a lot of energy, that's still a lot of engagement, that's still a lot of, like, mental power that you have to utilize. So, if someone and you check in with your staff and they're not in the headspace that you think is conducive, not for the con, forget about the con, right? But for them as an individual, that person, you can make a suggestion, you can't force anyone to go home. You can make a suggestion like, "Hey, you seem like really, really out of it," or something's really going on, or whatever conversation you had with them, but you do know their situation. Like, you know what? You don't have to be here today. Like, we'll figure things out. We'll close whatever gaps if there's gaps that are created by you not being here. Go home, go rest, take care of whatever you have to take care of. Because I think the overwhelming sensation comes about both individually as if you have something going on, but if you know your staff has something going on and they're not taking care of themselves. They're not doing things to make sure that they're healthy and they're in the right mindsets to function, right? Like, I always make the jokes, not everybody can be like me and run on 4 hours of sleep and like run a con for like 12 hours or whatever. And like I make the joke, but because I'm crazy and I do crazy things and I overexert myself, I do overexert my body. And I'm saying this as a person who does that to do not do it. It is not fun. It is not recommended. It is not prescribed. If I am a doctor, I would not prescribe that to do that, you know. Oh, and I'm gonna just pull up another comment you actually made, Julie, is right. Yeah. So as you just saw, it's a lot of hours, right? So you have to take consideration all the things that they have to do, family, things outside. It could be work, right? It could be their own mental health. It could be their physical health, right? It could be a lot of things. Find out what is it that you can do to support them in that moment, right? Because even it could also be what do you call it? Because we also have like a workaholic um society too. So I don't necessarily blame anyone for being like that or just running until like, was it running the midnight oil? I think that's something my mom says. But running the midnight oil, burning ourselves out, especially in New York because we have like 28/7 city never sleeps, mentality that we forget sometimes to breathe. There have been times where I have run around and not thought to breathe. Now I didn't even realize I didn't eat, didn't realize I didn't drink anything, wondering why I'm dehydrated, dizzy, about to fall on my face because I'm constantly running. And this is not just with the convention, this is with school, work, whatever the case may be, family. We had to take the time out to do that. And it's helpful that if, let's say, we aren't taking the time out as individuals, do that for ourselves, as someone says, hey, did you eat? That's my staff. That's why I keep giving them props because they're just so amazing. And that's why I emphasize on finding your people because those people will help you keep going and will help make sure that you are stabilized, help make sure that you are functioning in a healthy way, right? My staff will ask me every moment they have an opportunity to, hey, Naja, did you eat? And I'll say, no, I didn't eat. They're like, stop whatever, what are you doing right now? I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm going to go bring this to this person or whatever it is I'm doing. They'll usually stop me and be like, you know what? I'll take over that. You go eat. Or they'll say, okay, you know what? Hello, I'm going to go and get this for you. Right. Because that also, I think, adds on to the answer for your question too, Julie, is that teamwork, 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 teamwork. Even though everyone was in their own sections, right? Cheyenne was in the panels. The stage had Taylor and Mike. David had registration, right? Miriam had the artist alley / vendor section, right? We all rotated to some extent, right? So people could use the bathroom, so people could eat, right? All because we worked together as a team, but also because we communicated on our walkies saying, hey, can someone cover registration? Like, I just need a break. Hey, can someone come over to the panels? I need a second person here. Like, I can't do this, whatever's happening in that moment by themselves. Hey, can someone get this thing that I need for the stage? Right? Move ourselves over. So that is also part of removing that like overwhelming feeling that often happens when you're a part of putting anything together is knowing that, okay, if I fall short, if I feel ill, if I feel tired, if I feel exhausted, if I feel overwhelmed, there are other people on my team that I can rely on. And that in a way can give a sense of relief, to us. Hello, Angelica. Hello, hello. Sorry, I saw the the comment. Those are some things that I think can be helpful. But please ask any questions that you guys have. Like I put my little banner on the bottom. It's like, how do you do it? Boop, 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 boop. I should have had like show tunes or something, but you know, it can be done. I truly think anyone can put together a convention. I think anyone can do those things. That anyone can technically start the process all in the same breath. And this may sound controversial, we'll see. I do not think that everyone can fulfill it without over exhausting themselves or potentially not finding the people who are the best fit for their goals and dreams in this area, or may not be able to have it where it doesn't, get to their head. Because that's also, I think, something I probably should have mentioned as I was going down the list or the numbers of things to look into is don't let it get to your head. Like don't let it get to your head. Like there are often times where I forget I run the convention. I forget I create the convention. It's not because it's so forgettable or that it means nothing to me. The convention means the world to me. I love it and I love everyone here. And everyone who has come and everyone who will come. I just love that the participation and the joy that I see on your guys' faces when you do come to the convention. And it does hurt me, not in a damaging way, but in a way where it's like, these people aren't enjoying certain things about this. That hurts. What can I do to make it better for them? Right. I enjoy all those things, but I do forget at times I do run the convention because for me, I don't think about it as a title. Like in my brain, it doesn't come up as like mission accomplished. You're a con runner now. Do 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 do. I just think about it as like, okay, cool. I run this thing. This thing benefits people. People have a really great time. And that's the main goal and the most important part of it. Is it fulfilling our mission, which is about creativity and diversity in geek culture? Yes. Are people having a good time? Yes. Are the performers enjoying themselves? Yes. Are the artists enjoying themselves? Yes. Are the attendees enjoying themselves? Yes. Is my staff not crumbling into the ground because I'm overworking them? Yes. Okay, great. So then that's all that matters. I like, I don't think anyone has to have a pompous attitude, or it's not necessary. And even I feel like it's even more damaging to have that type of attitude when running anything, but especially something like a convention that involves so many different components and people and moving parts. And like the biggest, I guess, quote unquote advice out of all of the seven tips I gave is this eighth tip is don't let it go to your head. Don't, especially if you start having, let's say, big names be involved. Let's say you have Crunchyroll, Funimation, Disney, Nickelodeon, Nintendo, right? Even if those people get involved, whatever it is that you're doing, that you're putting together for your convention, festival, whatever have you, don't have it where you have a pompous attitude. Don't be arrogant. Don't do that. I will say that till the cows come home. I will stand by it. I'll stand by it. Don't have this attitude where you're like, oh yeah, I run this. Like I do that. You want me to help you set up a table? Ah, why would I do that? Let me send someone else to do it for you. Like, don't I get so frustrated with this. Like, don't do that. Don't just because you run a show does not mean you're better than anyone else. Just because you have created a thing does not mean you're better than anyone else. All that means that you were just a person that did this thing. At least that's how I see it. Not saying don't give yourself accolades, not saying don't give yourself props because it is a big deal and not everyone does it. And listen, not everyone can do it in a way that is healthy and prosperous for both themselves and for the people that are engaging in what they're doing all in the same breath. Don't have it be where it's a part of your personality. Don't have it be where you are excluding people or shunning people or acting negatively to people because you are the person in charge of either running the show or who has created the show. Because at the end of the day, that I personally believe is not going to take you anywhere. I don't think that, and if it does take you anywhere, wherever you end up, may not be as great as you might think it is. Because you, as the person that runs the con, festival, business, whatever, you are a representative. Your behavior, your attitude, the way you speak to people is a representation of what you're providing people, of your con, of your festival. So let's say I was that type of person. Let's say I just, bypassed all of the attendees, didn't even say hello to them, didn't even acknowledge them. Just saw the fact that the vendors were setting up and let them struggle with their tents and canopies and tables and chairs. Like, that's stupid. you know, like, I think that's so silly. Like, oh, I run the con, so I don't have to do anything, or I don't have to acknowledge these people. Like, these people already paid to come here, so they already did their due diligence. Like, it's how you carry yourself, I believe, is a huge impact outside of everything else that's mentioned: funding, venue, finding your people, getting advice. Um, you know, any of those things will shift in a not so good way if your attitude sucks. If your personality in certain ways sucks, if you're mean to people, if you're ungrateful for people's support, if you are, like I said, pompous, you know, the most important part is to be humble. And I think within that, all of those other components that I mentioned, and I can go over them again because we're actually going to be finishing up in about 5 to 10 minutes or so, because I have to help some people out with the rest of their panels and make sure they're all set up. Is like I said, finding your niche. Yes, you can do that on your own. You don't technically need other people for it. Finding your people, your personality and how you talk to them matters. Keeping your determination. Technically, you could do that on your own, but having your people around you can help you continue that. Finding your venue. Again, your personality and how you talk to people. Some people may give you things for free. Some people may give you things for discount. I'm not saying be nice to people to get those things. Obviously, be genuine in what you're doing. But if you're a jerk, they're going to be like, no, I'm not going to give you this. Or they might upcharge you. Or they might be like, no, I'm not going to support this. I'm going to talk bad about it because the person who's trying to engage with me is talking bad to me, right? Like you don't want that. Same thing for asking for advice. If anyone came up to me and was like a complete jerk and then tried to ask me for advice, I'd be like, no. I wouldn't feel comfortable speaking to someone like that. I wouldn't feel comfortable trying to give advice to somebody who would treat me or anyone in such a negative way, right? And that ultimately affects your networking because who would want to network with someone like that? Same thing with funding. Who would want to give funding to somebody like that? So all in all, as I end this what oh gosh, almost hour long of me talking, really wanted to say that try to be yourself, try to be true to yourself, just try to be a good person overall and find your people. Find your people, find your funding, find the advice, find your niche, find networking venues, all that stuff. All at the end of the day, like you just have to try. Just have to try. And support will at some point in time come, your dreams will come, your goals will come. Just keep working at it and keep trying your best and just being yourself. So thank you guys so much for coming to this panel. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was enlightening of some sort or reassuring for some of you people that have come today virtually. Our next panel that's going to be happening shortly is going to be through Jump Entertainment, and they're going to be talking about the pros and cons of podcasting as well as some of their experiences being a Black podcaster. So you might see me again on there, maybe doing some tech stuff. But they will be having the full platform. And again, thank you guys so much for supporting our convention and supporting our fourth year in general, but our third year virtually. And I'm here to give you guys a very wonderful and exclusive sneak peek into next year and a sense of our dates. So next year, we will be having GOASIcon 2023 on August 12th of 2023 in the same location, South Meadow, Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden in Staten Island. We also plan on still having our virtual con, so you'll see us on the 13th of August of next year, 2023. So thank you guys so much. We will be probably putting out some of the tickets and stuff like that within the next 2 weeks or so, so be on the lookout. Please take a look at any of our social media platforms, which I will quickly put on the ticker below. So yeah, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. TikTok isn't on there, but our TikTok, we also have it. We have to really kind of revamp it. So that's also part of advertising. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful Sunday and enjoy the rest of our virtual panels. Bye, everybody.